We asked GPT to write us 4 creepypastas to see if AI has the potential to replace humans as writers. With how quickly AI is developing, it's a real possibility that we're already there. We've got a packed show for you today, so let's get started and tell us in the comments what your favorite story was. Our first story leads us to Punchout, the last round. Once upon a time, there was a video game called Punchout for the NES. It was a classic game where you played as a boxer named Little Mac, fighting your way up the ranks to become the champion. But there was something strange about this game. Some players claimed that while playing, they could feel a strange presence watching them. It was like there was something with them in the room, something that wasn't quite human. Then there were reports of strange glitches in the game. Some said that the characters in the game would suddenly freeze in place, their eyes staring out blankly from the screen. Others claimed the game would randomly reset itself, erasing all progress. But the most disturbing reports came from players who claimed that the game was haunted. They said that they could hear ghostly whispers coming from the TV, telling them to keep fighting and never give up. It was like the game was trying to possess them, to turn them into mindless fighters that would never stop. As more and more players reported these strange occurrences, the game's developer denied any knowledge of the haunting. They said that it was just a glitch in the game, and they were working on a patch to fix it. But the patch never came. In fact, the game was quietly pulled from store shelves soon after the reports of the haunting began to surface. To this day, nobody knows what caused the haunting of Punchout. Some say that it was just a glitch in the game, while others believe it was haunted by the ghost of a boxer who had died while playing the game. Regardless of what caused the haunting, one thing's for sure: Punchout will forever be remembered as one of the most terrifying video games of all time. Sans Spooky Secret. Once upon a time, there was a popular indie game called Undertale, which featured a cast of quirky and endearing characters. One of the most beloved characters was Sans, the lazy and pun-loving skeleton. But there was something strange about Sans. Some players claim that he would sometimes disappear from the game entirely, only to reappear at random intervals. Others claimed he would suddenly appear on the screen, staring out at them with empty black eyes. And then there were the whispers. Players claimed that they could hear Sans whispering to them through the game, his voice distorted and demonic. They said that he was trying to possess them, to make them do terrible things in the real world. But the most terrifying part of the Sans legend was the reports of players who claimed that they had been visited by him in their dreams. They said that they had seen Sans standing at the foot of their bed, his eyes glowing in the darkness. He would whisper to them, telling them that they had to do his bidding, that they had to obey him or face terrible consequences. As more and more players reported these strange occurrences, the game's developer denied any knowledge of the haunting. They said it was just a rumor, a tall tale spun by overactive imaginations. But the Sans legend continued to grow, spreading like a virus across the internet. People began to speculate that Sans was a demon, or a ghost, or even an alien from another dimension. And then one day, the reports stopped. The legend of Sans faded away, becoming just another piece of internet folklore. But for those who had experienced the horror of the Sands haunting, it would never be forgotten. The image of that grinning, demonic skeleton would be burned into their minds forever, haunting them even in their waking hours. Our next story leads us to the world of Pokemon in Pokemon, the Contest of Doom. Once upon a time, there was a dark secret lurking beneath the colorful and cheerful world of Pokemon contests. It was said that these contests, where trainers showcased their Pokemon's beauty and talent, were actually a front for something far more sinister. Legend has it, in the deepest, darkest corners of these contests, trainers would engage in rituals of blood sacrifice to appease the dark gods of the Pokemon world. They would offer up their own Pokemon as sacrifices, watching in sick fascination as their beloved companions were torn apart by monstrous creatures summoned forth from the shadows. These rituals were said to be so powerful that they had the power to open portals to other dimensions, unleashing unspeakable horrors upon the world. The trainers who participated in these contests were said to be consumed by madness, their minds twisted and corrupted by the dark powers they had unleashed. But the horrors of the Pokemon contests did not end there. It was said that the very judges who oversaw the contests were in on the secret, working with trainers to ensure that the most powerful and sacrificial Pokemon were chosen as winners. And then there were the Pokemon themselves, who were said to be haunted by the ghosts of their fallen brethren. They would cry out in agony during the contests, their spirits broken by the constant bloodshed and violence. Despite the rumors, the Pokemon contests continued to be held, their dark secrets hidden away behind the facade of glamour and beauty. But for those who knew the truth, the contests were a nightmare that never ended, a living hell that consumed all who dared participate. Some poor bastard dipped his Pikachu's toes in paint. A sick fuck.
That's true. That's true.
Like, look in her eyes. She's obviously been drugged. She's forced into this.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
That's fucked up. Yeah. Agreed. That's a sex slave.
Our final tale. One Day for Ched. The 25th Hour. One Day for Ched was a little-known first-person shooter game released back in 2014. It had received mediocre reviews from critics and gamers alike, but little did they know that the game was hiding a dark secret. One day, a player stumbled upon a hidden level in the game. The level was unlike anything they'd seen before. It was dark, foreboding, and filled with strange symbols etched into the walls. As the player navigated through the level, they began to feel a sense of unease. The air was thick with a benevolent presence that they could hear whispers in the darkness. The whispers grew louder and more sinister. Felt words. "You shouldn't be here," the voice hissed. "You should leave before it's too late." But the player couldn't leave. They were trapped in the game, unable to exit or quit. They had to press on deeper into the level. As they moved through the darkness, they began to see glimpses of something moving in the shadows. It was a figure, hunched and twisted, with glowing eyes that burned like fire. The figure began to stalk the player, pursuing them through the level with relentless determination. The whispers grew louder and more menacing. until they were almost deafening. Finally, the player reached the end of the level. There they found a room filled with strange artifacts and symbols. In the center of the room, there was a figure waiting for them. The figure spoke to the player in a voice that was both soothing and terrifying.
Wouldn't gliding be faster?
It told them that it had unlocked a gateway to a dark and terrible realm. A realm filled with unspeakable horrors. And then, in a burst of flame and darkness, the figure vanished, leaving the player alone in the room. From that day on, the player was never the same. They were plagued by nightmares and visions of the figure, and they could hear the whispers of the game even when they weren't playing. One day for Ched had opened a doorway to something dark and malevolent, something that should have never been disturbed, and that player was left to suffer the consequences of their curiosity. You know what? Bad doesn't even cover that. Those were actually trash. Well, luckily, we've still got writers out there pushing out quality material. And you know what? I think it's gonna stay that way for quite a while. We hope you enjoyed this, and we also hope you enjoy what's yet to come. We have a lot of projects coming up soon, and they're the best we've made yet. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.
Baby, I'm falling under your spell. Your smile's all I need to see to know well. Leave this endless darkness and come along with me. Hold my hand.